Okay. It seems that we are recording and we are streaming it as well. Um, so let's see. We have 29 people joining in so far. Let's wait for a few more minutes and then we can start. Okay. Meanwhile, can I get a head count? Can you please raise your hand if you are from the ES course? Okay. And can you raise your hand if you are from the DS course?
What do you guys CS means?
ES and DS. DS is data science. ES is electronics.
Okay, I'm a DS.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I see both of we have students from both the streams. Okay. Okay. You guys can lower your hands. I just a quick another question. Just raise your hand if you guys have finished your week 1 content. Oh, good. We have so many students who finished all of it. Good, good. So before we start with everything else, right? I can take up a few of the questions if you guys have any on week 1, concept wise. So just raise your hand and then ask your question, so it becomes easy for me to. Uh, yeah, Amrita, please go ahead. Okay.
Sir, for me, PP2 is not showing the pass. Sorry, once again.
What is not shown pass?
Yes, the answer was right. The expected and the actual are correct, but it not getting pass. I don't know why.
In your GRPA, is that what you're saying?
No, no, not in GRPA, sir. In PPA.
Uh, NPP.
Sorry,
No, no, I could not catch where you're
PPA, sir.
trying. PPA. Okay, okay. Can you just share your screen and show me which
Yes,
question
sir.
it was?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's showing the answer, but it's not getting pass. Is the screen is my screen is visible, sir?
Your screen is visible. Yeah. Can you
Sorry,
go to
sir.
the question
I
and show
can't
me which
hear you.
question I'm
One
talking
second.
about? Yeah. Can you show the question?
Uh, I don't know.
No, you are
You
sharing
change the
the
screen. Your
GPT.
screen is not visible. You have changed to other screen. Go to the question.
Go to the question, like in your portal, right? Reduce the mic noise. Reduce the mic sensitivity.
अरे भूकंप आ गया ये
So it's like now, I don't know, it gets muted while sharing the screen. I don't hear anything.
Hello. Okay, just we'll revisit it back. Okay, now we have around 51, right? I'll just go ahead and present something first, and then we will take up the questions one by one. Okay, does that look fine for everyone?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
sir.
that will be
So,
fine, sir.
what we will do is, because this is our first session, I would like to, present the grading policy and clear up doubts there for both the courses. Once it is done, then we will take a look at the kind of content, extra content we have prepared for you people to work with it, and then we will start taking questions one by one.
Sir,
Okay. So
nice. Just sorry to interrupt. Just one doubt I have.
yeah.
When you get into the content discussion, if possible, just
Hmm.
explain the kernel and batch thing that I just want to
Sure, sure,
understand.
sure. We'll take up all of those questions. No worries. Okay. Any questions you may have, we can take it up there. Hmm?
Sure, sure.
Okay, I hope my screen is visible to you. So the first thing we'll start is with system commands. So those who are from the TS course, right? This is what your grading policy document. If you have taken a look at it, right, you will see the most important aspect from the OPP point of view is that you have to ensure that you are completing 3 BPTs from the first 4 BPTs. Okay, so let me just make it even more simpler. So for the system commands and as well as for the ES course, we don't have quiz 2. So we have only quiz 1, and it is on the same date as October 27. And you have end term directly after that on the 22nd of December. Okay. The OPP, so the way we conduct OPP in this course is two-factor, right? We will have an OPP around 7th of December. Those who appear in the OPP and failed this OPP will get a second attempt called in the re-OPP on December 14th. Okay, the OPP will have 5 questions which you need to answer, right? If you are able to solve 2 out of 5, you will pass the OPP. Okay. Then we have something called bi-weekly programming test in the system commands course. Okay, this bi-weekly programming tests will be released on bi-weekly basis, first starting on the October 4th. Okay, 5th, 19th, 2nd November, and 23rd November. We'll get 48 hours to complete all the BPT questions. So there will be 4 to 5 questions in each of the BPT, and your task is to finish all of them within 48 hours. Okay. So we have quiz 1 syllabus is from week 1 through week 4. Okay, so only first 4 weeks will be the part of quiz 1, and the end term will have syllabus for all the weeks, but uh, the emphasis will be more on week 5 onwards. Definitely there will be a few questions from week 1 through 4.
Sir,
Okay,
this
then
OPP, that re-OPP, the
hmm,
OPP who could not clear, they will get a second chance. Is it like that?
second chance,
Okay,
yes.
okay, okay.
So if you
If somebody
fail
pass, if pass in the first attempt, then can improve in the second attempt.
no, that is not allowed. Okay, so
Okay.
you prepare well for the OPP. If you pass the OPP, basically you're done with the course. But if you fail in the OPP, then you will get a chance at re-OPP. Okay,
It is 8 week course, sir.
this is a 10-week course.
Okay, now. Okay.
Okay, now it is a 10-week course.
Sir, for
Okay,
this bi-weekly test, the syllabus will be for that week or the previous
so
week?
if you see the bi-weekly nature, right? So say the first test will be based on week 1 and week 2. The second BPT will be based on week 3 and 4. Likewise, we'll go till the BPT 5, which will consist of content from week 9 and 10. Okay,
Okay. So is it like we can submit any number of times or it's just
you can
once?
submit any number of times. The moment you have a successful submission on those 2 days, we'll take that uh,
The last.
as a scoring. Yes, not the last one, the best one. So
Okay. Okay.
say by mistake you change the code and then later on it is failing, right? You need not worry because the best one will be saved in our best one will be used from our database.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
So to attend the eligibility for the end term, right, you need to the 7 out of the first 9 weekly assignment, right? Your score should be more than 40 out of 100. And to get the eligibility for the course grade, you need to attend the end term exam and you need to pass the OPP. And then there is this important criteria for the OPP that you have to complete 3 BPTs from the first 4 BPTs. So we are saying that successfully completing. For our point of view, what successfully completing 3 BPT means is that you should be able to solve at least one question successfully in each of these BPTs. That will be counted as successful completion, and then you will be eligible for the OPP.
What is
Okay.
BPT, sir?
So BPT stands for bi-weekly programming test. You will get 5
Okay, okay.
questions, 4 to 5 questions on bi-weekly basis to solve. The same questions will be released for the ES course as well, but they don't have this particular paradigm. But the essential idea is that if you guys are able to solve the question which is released in the BPT, you will be able to understand the logic, how the questions are being solved in the OPPs, and uh, it will be good for your practice. Okay. So around the same time it is released in the system commands VM, it will be released on the ES VM as well. Okay. So that is that. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
So,
I read in the SAT document that for the SCOP we will have to give it in the VM. Will that be? Will somebody will be guiding us through this process?
yes. So
And,
all the questions are released in the VM for the BPT. The way we solve with instructor session, right, in the VM, all the questions we will be solving VM. So if you are able to solve all the BPT questions which is released on the VM as well as the practice questions there, that will automatically prepare you for the OPP. Okay, the methodology by which we are going to solve all of these questions in the VM will be the same for the OPP.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So what is the VM?
The virtual machine. So you'll have a remote machine which has Linux on it. So which will be provided by the IIT Madras team. Okay. So you need to log in from your machine onto that VM and do practice over there. Okay. So all of the detail as to how to log in, how to get started on the VM, that will be the agenda for the entire next week. So all the instructor sessions and TA session will be targeted in such a way that the students are onboarded onto the VM and they are able to solve at least one question successfully. Okay, that is what we are trying to do in the forthcoming week. So any session you join, so evening 7 to 8 we will have TA sessions, and instructor sessions are on Sunday, I think on Saturday and on Monday, right? So all of those sessions, along with if you need any extra sessions, right, we will announce those extra sessions just to get everyone started on the VM. Okay, so you need not worry about that part. Just ensure that you are engaging the course as much as possible in the first 2 weeks, because that will form the basis for the upcoming weeks. Okay, so we already talked about the BPT. What is a BPT, right? What is quiz
Excuse me,
1
sir.
OPT? Yeah,
Sir, so would they help us with the setup of the VM?
everything. Okay, so
Yes,
you
sir.
don't have to worry about any of that part. Okay, so there are
Sir, so we don't need to install the VM currently.
no, like in the first week, right? Those who have done the first week content, right? You see that different tools and techniques professor talks about, right? In the live session. So in there we have also learned about VMware and all other tools, right? You need not install any of this. As long as you have Windows 10 or 11, you can use your PowerShell to log in through your Windows machine. And if you
Mac,
already have a Linux machine or a Mac machine, you can just simply use SSH command from the terminal to log in into the VM.
Mac, it will be easy.
Either will be fine. So
Okay.
we just want to make it system independent, right? That is why the VM is introduced, and we are ensuring that everyone is getting a practice over there. Moreover, I think in a real life scenario or in a professional scenario, you'll be working with mostly VMs, be it data science or ES. Right? Either VMs or you will be working on system level kernels, for which you will need an understanding of bash, which is the intent of this particular course.
Sir, what are the advantages of VM that we will be using those in the future if we say suppose go for the future?
Say, what kind of job profile are you interested in?
So let's say data science only. If I go for a
Okay,
data analyst,
so if you are from as a data scientist or analyst, right, you may need to work with a total ETL pipeline, right? Are you aware of what an ETL pipeline is?
no, sir, I'm not aware of.
So essentially, what you need to do is wherever your data is being stored, from there you have to extract it, you have to transform it as per your requirement, and then you have to analyze in such a way that you can get in insights from it. Nobody will give you the data which is in a very good format, right? I mean clean format. So you also need to do some data cleaning on the go. So when you download the data is not usually shared in terms of CSV files or any other Excel sheets or whatever it is. It is usually stored in terms of either database or it will be stored on a cloud. Okay, so all of the instances which uses cloud computing will be using Linux in some form. So you need to understand how to get into the remote VM. Take a look at the data and try clean that data on the terminal itself and then download it to your own machine. Because any operation you do on the VM on the cloud, right, will cost you money depending upon what kind of infrastructure service you have signed up for. So this is a precursor to all of that. So for you to understand all of those things and nuances therein, right? This is somewhere you will need to start.
Okay.
So Linux and Bash is something, be it programmer, be it data scientist, or an ES student cannot leave behind this particular tool. It is absolutely very important and basic tool which everyone uses in the industry now.
So
Okay.
actually, the Linux, it is always a server, so you need to connect it from some remote system, and then that's how it is. So I think that is why we are learning through the VM.
So you will be learning the most important and essential part is creating an SSH key and using SSH to log in into a remote server. That is your agenda for the next week, right? And I think week 2 also talks about networking and an SSH also as a part of the course. But you will be doing it by your own this time. So you need to learn a little bit more about networking and SSH and those command in detail. So you guys can use the book which we have already prepared and published for this particular course and other resources to learn more about basics of networking and all that. Okay, so we'll get back to that. Need not worry about it. Let's just go over this grading policy because I think there are
So
ES students who are
one
also
more
waiting.
question there. Sorry, I don't want to deviate too much. That SCT, sir, I missed on that day. Can I do it now, or I will get opportunity before the exam, OPP exam, system compatibility test?
I think it will be given before your exam as well. So
Okay,
that is not an issue. So take a look at this OPP thing, right? So if you are absent, right, on December 8th, the OPP, you will not get another chance on December 15th. You need to communicate to the support team in advance if there is an issue which is clashing, right?
But you told it is the 8th of 7th of December. Here it is mentioned 8th of December.
So I think it is 7th and 14th. So 8th is what do you call? It could be just a typo. Okay, just think of it as the first year OPP. Okay,
Okay.
if you're absent, so you already got a course calendar, right? Where you have all of these dates regarding the OPP and all that. So ensure that if you are not able to make around that time, you have to, give a sufficient proof to the operations team for them to move your date from OPP to re-OPP. Okay, and in that scenario, you will get only one chance towards the OPP that you have to ensure. Okay. The next is the NPP, right? So OPP is your proctored exam, right? NPP is your non-proctored exam. So this is for you to practice whether you are able to solve the questions within a time frame of 2 hours or not. So this will be released a week prior to your actual OPP. So around 4th or 5th of December, we'll release NPP for you to practice on the VM. So that is what that is, and you can see that the final grade score, right? The major emphasis is on OPP, NTerm, and BPT. So you can see about 20 marks towards quiz 1, 30 towards OPP, 30 towards NTerm, and then 20 towards BPT. The total will come around 115, and we'll cap it to 100. So have little bit of leeway to ensure that you get a good grade in this particular course. So you definitely, if you are working hard towards BPT, the OPP will be an easier task for you. So that way you're ensuring your 50 marks are taken care of. And then end term and the quiz is something you need to read a little bit into the book and understand the concepts in greater detail. So that way your quiz one and the end term will take care of that. Okay, and then you have about 15 marks for the GA. Okay, so I'll move to the introduction to the Linux shell course, which is an ES course. So again, like I said, it doesn't have a quiz 2. It is exactly the same. Like quiz 1 will be on October 24th, and end term will be December 22, and the OPP will be on 7th of December. And if you fail into this OPP, the OPP will be on the December 14th. Okay, quiz 1 syllabus is exactly same syllabus from week to week 4. And the OPP will be based on week 1 through 9. Okay, not entirely 10 weeks, but first 9 weeks. It is true for both the courses. Okay, and an additional part which ES has, because it is a 5 credit course, is the lab assignment. Okay, so I want you guys to pay attention to this particular part. Okay, so the lab assignments, all of these labs, right, will be released. So all 5 labs we will be discussing and letting you know what we are expecting from you on the upcoming Saturday, right? We'll discuss all of the content of what all labs and what all its essential aspects are. So our expectation from you is that you need to complete at least 100% tasks in 3 of the labs, and in remaining 2 labs you have to do minimum of 40% completion. Okay, so if you take a look at your course calendar, right, you'll see that there are Diwalis coming up, and then you have end term and quiz 2 and other things coming up around the dates of lab 4 and 5. So, and to get a lead over this particular issue, we will be releasing all of these labs in one go. And then as you come on each of the Saturdays, right, bi-weekly alternate Saturdays, we will be taking the TAs will be helping you out to finish the tasks during that session, 3-hour session. So our expectation is that once we release all of these 5 labs in advance, in each of the lab session, you should be able to finish at least 40% of the tasks while you are in the session, so that you ensure that you meet this criteria 100%. Okay, so the first 3 labs, right, are little lighter on the content, right? The amount of questions asked there and or the activities are limited. So you guys should target to finish all these first 3 labs 100%, so that you get little bit of time and breather for lab 4 and 5, because lab 4 and 5 are little elaborate, and this will allow you to create your own codes as you go along in your forthcoming courses. Okay. So I want you to ensure that you're completing all of these labs within 4 days of each of the lab date. Okay, so say first lab we will start doing it on the 5th of October. I want you to finish all of it by 9th of October, the latest. Similarly for each of this lab. Yeah, please go ahead. What's your query?
So this labs will be Viva or will be implemented on VM?
So just give me a minute. So the way we are conducting labs are, right, is that there are around 13 TAs assigned to you. Among the 13 TAs, you guys will be divided equally. Okay, so the labs are essentially a Google Doc. Okay, So each one of you will get a copy of a Google Doc in which you need to submit uh, these lab reports. Okay. So say in an activity I told you, right? If I ask you to finish, hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, right now
Yeah.
you are audible.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that say in lab you will have 5 of the activities. You need to finish all of the 5 of the activities within that time, and you need to put a screenshot of what you have done in the lab in your lab report, explaining what you have done. So say for example, if I ask you, there is a command called ls, right? I want you to take a look at the ls command output and note down 4 different ways ls command can be used. So you have to come up with 4 different ways ls command is being used. You have to explain it and put a screenshot there. So that completes that particular task. Likewise, you have to do it for all the remaining tasks which is present in that particular lab. Okay, and put it into the Google Doc which we have shared with you. Okay, you don't need to you creating your own lab report is not what we expect. You need to put it in the same Google Doc which we have provided. So the Google Docs will be released by Tuesday next week. Okay, with all the instructions will be provided in there. And in the first lab itself, we will explain all of this thing in detail as to what a good lab report means and how to prepare that and what we expect from you and everything. Okay. So next Saturday, the focus will be Saturday evening session, right? We'll be talking about all of these labs in great detail. Okay, so you need not worry about that part. But definitely, these are the Google Docs, and you have to log in into the VM, do those tasks, take a screenshot of it, and put it into the lab report. Okay. So normally, any lab you take, right, it doesn't take more than 2 days to finish. So we expect you to finish almost all of those lab as soon as possible.
Means number of hours in
Number,
one
not
lab.
number of hours. Even if you say, you give 3 hours straight, right, you should be able to finish all of the lab.
Right. Okay, sir.
Okay. So if you
Okay.
sit 3 hours to 4 hours straight for that particular lab, it will get finished.
Then well,
But some of the students may or may not be available on that day. That's why the leeway of 2 days is given. Okay. The
right, sir.
TAs will be constantly in touch with you. You'll have a Google space created with your TAs, and you can have a conversation with them as well. Okay. In case you are not able to do a particular task or you are having difficulty, right? The first level is you can escalate with your TA, and if it is not getting resolved, you can escalate to the instructor. Okay. So in here also, like I said, 100% task in 3 lab, and in remaining 2 lab, minimum 40% of the tasks needs to be completed. Okay, if you are not able to finish this, you will be given a fail grade in the lab component, because lab is either you get full marks or you get 0. There is nothing in between. So you have to complete this task in this particular order to get a pass grade in the lab. Okay. If you fail to do this, you need to redo the entire lab assessment. So the 2 credits, right, you will not get grade for that. You have to redo it and ensure that you finish the lab assessment in the next term. So ensure that from the lab one itself, you are active and you are ensuring that you are finishing your lab reports. You are in touch with your TA because every so say we are going to do lab 1 in the next week, right? So once you are done with that lab 1, right, you can ask the TA to assess. Okay, and the TA will provide you a detailed assessment on lab 2 date. So you can come for the lab 2 and ask TA regarding what your status or grade in lab 1 is. If he says that is 100% complete, you are good to go for the lab 2. Likewise, you can do for all other labs. Okay. So this is a different content compared to what it is. So what I expect you, like as an instructor, right? Once you are done with your lab, right, take a look at the BPTs, which will also be released on the VM for you to practice. So take a look at it, see if you are able to solve those questions, and if you are not able to solve those questions, you can also raise those doubts with your TAs and instructors in the live sessions or in lab sessions as well. Okay, we'll take a look at that, and we'll try to help you out as to understand how the question is being framed and what you need to do to solve it successfully. This is very important because we haven't included BPT in the assessment part of the ES, right? And if you are not practicing any of the questions on the VM, it will be very difficult for you to appear for the NPPS as well as OPP. You will not understand how to start reading a question, how to practice it, and how to solve it. Okay, so everything we will be discussing in the solve with instructor session, live session, or we can also discuss the solutions of the BPT eventually. Okay, if
Excuse me,
that
sir.
is yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, so on what thing we have to do this lab work on VM, or will you provide anything for that?
On VM, you on VM you need to log in. So once you log in, you do all of those activities, right? Take a screenshot of that activity. Say if I ask you to use ls command in 5 different ways, you showcase if you are able to do those in 5 different ways, and then provide that as a uh, screenshot for the assessment in your doc.
Okay, so sir, it is in the OPP form like that we have in C programming, like the proctors are watching us, and is it like this?
No. So we will not be watching you doing it in your own VM. We expect you to do it on your own VM, because I think if you are not able to do that there, you will definitely fail into the OPP exam. Because on the day of OPP, you will come with the question that you're not able to log into the VM. I don't want to entertain those on the days of the OPP. You better log in onto the VM from the next week itself, and start practicing it there. So we are there to help you out uh, with be it content or understanding, or how to solve it, how to take a look at it, and all that. Okay.
Sir,
Okay, sir.
when we will log in VM?
We will start the logging process from the Monday onwards. Okay. So Monday onwards, we'll release a video also, and we'll also let you know that we are starting the VM, and you guys can start logging in. So we'll do it for 7 days straight, so that you guys are able to get onto the VM as earliest as possible. Okay, because it requires little bit of week 2 content, right? And now the week 2 has already released, right? Take a look at its SSH video and do little bit research on that, and then we'll start doing the VM process.
So this TS session for system command, both the days, it is a session given at 4 to 6 on Wednesday and Friday. But for working people, this will be difficult, no sir? Like,
I'll take a look at it. TS session, huh?
yeah, TS session.
Okay. I'll try to
Sir,
move it in the
please.
evening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please, sir, do it in the evening.
Please write us mail also and put it on the discourse as well, so that doesn't skip any of the other instructors. So the most important thing, let me introduce the instructors, okay, for this term. Yeah, the instructors, please raise your hand for in the meet. Everyone else, please lower your hand, okay, for now.
Yeah, actually, I have joined. Yeah. Hi, everyone. So I'm Atul Pratap Singh. I'm one of the instructor in this course on this term.
Okay, so apart from him, we have Shubhendu. Because he's engaged into another meet today, so he was not able to join. And there is one more instructor. Her name is Hemlata ma'am, who will be taking your lab sessions, right? And Monday session, Monday evening session. So she will be the one who will be conducting a revision session on Monday and taking the ES lab altogether. So either Shubhendu or Atul will be taking the solve with instructor session, which is today, right? 2 to 4. My name is Sushil Pachwinde. So I had been the instructor for this particular course for almost 4 terms now. But I will be leaving this course soon. But in any scenario, if you have any doubts or questions, right, you guys can raise, and we will get it resolved as soon as possible. Okay. So did I miss anything, Atul, apart from the syllabus we discussed?
Nothing. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So let's take up questions if you guys have any on what we have discussed so far. Yeah,
Sir,
Nilay,
can you
please
name
go ahead.
some books?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Sir,
Kaustav,
please
we
solve
already
the
have a
KPA
book.
one.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Sorry,
Hello.
sir, can you repeat?
Yeah, we already have a book which is prepared by the team. Okay. So the link to which you'll find it in the Discourse section, and we'll also ensure that it will be available in the general introduction. Atul, is it available in the general
Sir,
introduction
please
page?
share this book link in the chat box.
Book link you are asking, Susil?
Yeah. So
Yes,
it
sir.
was on the Discourse.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
check on the dashboard of the portal. If it is
Okay.
not available, I'll add the link.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Just add a link there in the general information itself so that they can take it
Mm-hmm.
from there itself. Okay,
Okay.
so I think the guidelines and everything has been updated for this particular term. So I'll just share that. If you take a look at it and go to the calendar is there and book section, right? And there is something called navigating Linux. Let me just paste. Yeah, there it is. Okay, take a look at this discourse post. If you take a look at it under the books section, right? You have a navigating Linux. So let me just share that screen. This is an important resource page. Not everyone is usually using it the way it is intended. So if you take a look at this particular page, right? So Shubhendu will be your lead instructor, and then you can always tag him, Lata, and Atul in any case. So this is for the system command. Similarly, you will have it for the ES as well. Okay, and Puneet is the TA for the both the courses, the head TA, and then for the ES we have additional 12 TAs there. Okay, so this also gives you the sessions, right? The session, TA session, all the information is there. If you want to tag, what kind of tags we have enabled, and the course calendar is also available. You have important links portal available, and then under the books, right, you have this something called navigating Linux. If you click on it, it will open up a PDF a location where the PDF is saved for the book. Okay, so you can just refer to that book, and if you have any comments and concerns regarding that book, please write it in the discourse for us, so that we can get it corrected if there are any issues. Apart from that, some of the previous students, right, has created their own notes, and I think they have also listed in here, so you can use them. And then we have also included the cheat sheets for different concepts present in the bash for you to use. And then there are other important links which we have also put it in there. We have also a repository of previous year questions which you can use it here, right? And then additional information is also provided. So you can use all of this information as you go along. Okay, I believe it will be also present for the Linux course. You can take a look at it. This introduction to Linux course, right?
So sorry to interrupt you. You are
Yeah.
using the word ES. Yeah, you
Sorry.
are mentioning something like ES course. I'm not getting what is that?
So there are two courses, right? One is system commands and another one is introduction to Linux. So they are essentially the same sister courses with same instructors present, right? But one course is for the data science course and another one is for uh, electronic systems course. Okay, so that's a different stream altogether.
Okay,
But
I
the
was not getting.
concepts you guys are learning are the same. Okay, among the both, the TAs, instructors are all the same between the courses, and we are also syncing up both the courses at the same time. So the concept wise also it is same. So you can take a look at its resources and everything, and in here also you can see that the books link is provided in the introduction to Linux uh, shell course. Okay, so maybe we have to
Uh,
update this from May term to September term, but I think that is all we need to do it here and update some of the other parts. But the books, is everyone able to open up the book and see it?
so where can I get the book?
I just shared a link of discourse post, right? You can
Yes,
just take
sir.
a
Sir,
look at it.
yeah, right now I am in the discourse.
Okay. So once you're in the discourse, go to the books section.
Where is the
If you keep scrolling after the calendar additional resources, under the additional
okay,
resources
okay.
tab, right? You have a books section.
Resources tab.
Under the resources, so let me just share my screen again.
Okay.
Okay.
So this book was circulated
So
in a WhatsApp group also, sir. Yeah, we got
yes. So this is what we have actually developed last term. So almost everything is there except I think a couple of chapters are missing, but they will be updated in here itself. Okay, eventually. So a past TA called Sayan, we worked with him to develop this particular uh, book for you. I hope everyone is able to see this, right? The screen.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So guys are not able to see the other part of it.
Very nice. Looks like it will be very helpful. This
Okay,
book.
so
Yeah.
this book we have prepared on week by week basis, so that you don't have to jump in and around. But you guys can always go and
Sir,
refer
I
to
am in
other.
the open page of the first page of the discourse pass. Where can we get the this type of things? The books, notes, cheat
So
sheets.
yeah. So in the course, right, in the first one itself, you will have. So which course are you in? System commands or introduction to
Yeah,
Linux?
yeah, I am in system command.
Okay, so if you are in the system commands, just go and click on the link which I have already provided in the this chat section, right?
Okay, okay.
So if you click on that, you will get to see the actual post which contains all of this information. Okay, are you able to see it?
I'm trying, sir.
Okay, so
Yes,
just
yes,
take a
yes.
look at it, learn from it, and do give us feedback on it. And if you eventually advance into the course and you feel that we can do better at it, you can also post your suggestions to our course email address, so we can also take a look at it and see if we can incorporate some of it into it. Okay, the next thing which I wanted to show,
Hello, sir.
because yeah.
Sir, I'm DS student,
Mm,
system commands. So I have
mm,
doubt in grading say
mm,
documents. So the in BPT, how will be the scoring? Means you are saying there will be the five problems, around five
mm,
problems in each BPT,
mm,
and if you solve the one problem, at least one problem, it is considered as a success.
mm.
And then in the final scoring, it is showing 0.2%, 20 marks to the BPT.
Yeah. So
So
it's as
how they
simple
get
as that.
those
If
20%?
suppose you solve only one question in all the 5 BPTs, right? You should get all 20 marks.
Okay,
So
so
the
all
book name is Navigating Linux.
Yes, navigating Linux.
so the all five BPTs are is
Yeah.
compulsory.
No, we are making first three out of the first uh, three out of the first 4 BPTs compulsory. So
That will be the
yeah,
eligibility criteria.
that will be your eligibility criteria towards the
But for
OPP.
getting 20 marks, we have to complete all five.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. So we are done with the PPT. Yes, Srinivas, please go ahead.
Sir, the previous time I was not able to complete the OPP, sir.
Hmm.
So this time I just selected only the re-OPP. So should
Yeah.
I need to do the VM tasks and the other?
So you are from the ES course, right?
Yeah, I'm from the
ES
ES.
1102. Okay. So all you need to do is just work on your OPP, nothing else. Okay.
Okay, sir.
None of the other things will be applicable to you. But if you
Oh,
want to practice, you can always come and log in into the VM and try solving those BPT questions
yeah, okay.
and other practice questions there. So that will give you a little bit of a flavor as to what kind of question will be asked in the OPP.
Yeah, okay, sir. So I'm not needed to do the NPP, VM tasks,
Nothing.
other
Because
grade
everything
tasks.
else will come from the last term's, I think your previous attempts score, right? Only the OPP score will change there.
Yeah, okay, so then
For
I
your
just need to do for practice.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so and the lab too, no, sir. I'm not.
Yeah, if you have passed the lab, right? You have
Yeah, sir.
done that criteria, then you don't need to.
Yeah,
So
okay,
just
sir.
need to focus on OPP in that scenario.
Just study for the OPP and attempt it, right, sir?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
correct.
thank you, sir. And for the yes, system compatibility test, will they send any mail, sir? Or
They will send eventually, I think, before the OPP.
yeah, okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Not a problem.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, Suraj.
Sir, actually, I had only OPP left in business terms, sir. Actually, I wanted to. I had repeated OPP.
Hmm.
Did I have to give again lab test because in previous time it was not there, sir?
No, you're from system commands or CS1102?
Sir, system command.
Yeah, in system commands there is no lab component. Okay. In system commands it's only OPP you have to work with. The lab component we discussed only in terms of the CS1102 course. That is ES course. Okay, that is different than system commands.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Jatin.
So my question is, if I wish to practice more and more questions
Hmm.
to get my hand fluent with the Linux, where could I find them?
On
Other
the
than
VM. On the VM, you have plenty of questions. Apart from that, if you want to learn Bash in itself, right, there are few of the resources where you can practice it. I think the best one which I have found on, let me just take a look at it. The website is still there. Exorcism, have you heard of that website?
no, sir.
So I'll just put it in here. So they have, I think, 100 questions for Bash. If you are eventually good at Bash and you want to play with it, right? You can always take a look at those. So exorcism has around, I think 100 questions are there, and then you can also take a look at other people's code. What they have shared and what it is.
And sir, how can I find questions on my VM?
So that we will discuss, I think, in the next week. It's pretty simple. If you go onto the VM, in your home folder, you will have a README file that will list out where to look for the questions, how to solve them. But we'll take a look at that in detail in the next lecture.
Okay, sir.
Okay?
Got it. Got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Shashwat.
Yes, so regarding the VM task, we have to do like spend around 8 hours to get certain activity points. So is this the tasks you just said to
Yes, VM tasks are the tasks which you need. No, the exorcism is not the VM task.
No,
The
no, no,
VM
not the
tasks are
exorcism.
on
The
the.
ones you said we will be getting from the next week on
Yes,
VM.
yes. So we will explain as to what each of the folder is, how to take a look at the question and everything in great detail. Okay.
Okay, sir.
During that time, so you need not worry about that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Pawan, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is that I already did 4 labs in the last term, sir. I left with only lab 5, sir. So can I
No,
paste those?
no, you have to create everything again, Pawan, because that is what we expect.
No, sir. I have those screenshots, sir. Can I paste those screenshot in a new
No, create
docs?
new ones, Pawan, because that is what we have been thinking. Because what ES students are thinking is that they will complete few of the lab in the last term and then they will use the same in the next term. That is what we are not allowing. We want you, and this term, what we are expecting is you to follow a stringent guideline as to how to write a report. Okay, so
Yes,
what
sir.
we have seen is simply people pasting the screenshot, expecting us to grant them full marks. We are going to stop that from this term onwards. We want them to properly structure the document, put a report which is readable for the TA point of view or instructor point of view as well. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so just simply pasting won't be enough. So just be there in the lab and try to do it while the TAs are there. So all of the last sessions will be more like TA sessions for you to learn how to do those things, how to paste it properly, how to get your report in line, so that they can do assessment right after your lab or within couple of days of your lab report. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thanks, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Uma, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. For two questions I have. First is the
Oh,
lab assignment things are not for system command course students, right?
correct. Yeah.
Okay. And second question, I was able to go into VM and able to see the questions, but
Mm.
after studying the week two, can I solve the open those
You
questions?
can open all of those questions which are, you are able to see and solve them. There is no issue with that.
Okay.
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 The
Thank you, sir.
reason why we are releasing everything upfront is that if somebody wants to take a faster track and take a look at the videos in advance and try doing it on their own, they are free to
I
do that.
saw BPT as well as assignment one, assignment two. What is that, sir?
So
There are
assignment
some
one,
10.
0 to 10 are the VM tasks. Okay. If you take a look at the
Okay.
readme file, it mentions that assignment 0 to assignment 10 are the VM tasks. The PPAs are exact same PPAs which you have it in your course, right now on the portal. And the
Oh,
practice are the weekly practice questions you can use to practice your skills. And
okay.
then the BPTs are the last terms BPT questions which we have done. Okay.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Sir,
Thank you.
for data science student, the
Hmm.
BPT is applicable, but not the lab assignment.
Yes.
Okay.
And for the ES course, the BPTs are not applicable, but lab is. Okay. So that is the main difference between the two. Okay. Yeah, Maulik, please go ahead.
I'm using is not compatible with the VMware software. Means I cannot install the VMware software in the system. So currently I'm using Replit website to practice Linux shell. So sir, while doing online labs
Maulik, your voice is breaking actually.
and
Can
can
you
we
rephrase your question?
sir, like the system which I am using currently
Hmm.
is not compatible with the VMware software and I cannot download it in the system.
Hmm.
So currently I'm using the online websites like Replit to
Hmm.
practice Linux shell questions.
Hmm.
So while doing the OPP, will I have a problem accessing the VMware
So let me ask you this question: what
and
OS are you
the lab
using?
sessions will
What OS are you using?
sir Intel
No, OS operating system.
Windows or Mac?
Windows sir.
Windows which version?
Sir Windows.
Version?
Sir, I'm not sure. I don't know
Windows
which
7,
one
8,
exactly.
10, 11.
Sir, Windows 11, Windows 11, Windows 11.
Right, in Windows 11 there is something called
Windows 11.
PowerShell, and you have terminal app as well. You can just simply use that. So that we will discuss in great deal in the upcoming week. So ensure that you are present in any of those sessions in the next week. Okay, we will also release a full video or
Okay, sir.
instructions for the students. So you don't need to install all of this VMware and everything. As long as you have Windows 10 and 11, you can simply use the softwares, right? WSL is there to practice it on your local machine, and if you want to practice it on the VM, PowerShell is good enough. Okay.
For Mac, sir?
Okay, sir.
Mac is
Thank
absolutely
you, sir.
fine, no issues. Mac has SSH inbuilt, and you can just simply type bash and then start using bash as your uh, shell interpreter. I think by default, Mac has ZSH or some other version of the shell which is active. So we have to change it to bash. So that all
Right,
that
sir.
thing we will discuss in detail. Okay, next week. Okay, so we are done with the discussion, I hope. And now I would like to come back to the contents, right? The questions regarding them. So can you guys raise your hand and we'll take a look at each of the question one by one. Yeah, Biplab, please go ahead.
Yeah, sir, I wanted to know in better detail that kernel and bash actually and shell, these three component.
Okay.
Yeah, some amount of confusion around this.
So can you just tell me what do you think kernel is, bash is, and
Sir,
so we'll start from there.
what I know is like for each of the operating system, there will be one kernel, and that's my understanding. I may be wrong. So, and it is like the core component of operating system. Any task or any process goes on in Unix system. it will be managed ultimately by the kernel. And bash is the outer layer through which we can interact with the kernel, and all the scripting programming can be done in the shell. That's what I'm understanding, but I'm not really sure. Hello, sir, was I audible? Hello.
Yes, yes, you are audible. Yeah. Anyone else who wants to know, what is a kernel and how do we take a look at it?
So I will also like to know about this.
This is the kernel name of the kernel.
Hmm?
Linux is kernel.
Yeah, Linux is the kernel system.
Yes, correct. So when you say Linux is a kernel, what do you exactly mean by that?
Means it control all the resources.
Yes. So how do you control the resources? Let me just share. I hope you guys are able to see the book, right?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yeah. So I think that exact question is there also in the book. So what I wanted to share here is like what he was talking about, right? So there is some hardware, and then there's something called kernel, which is on the top of it, and then you have bash and all that, and then you have user applications. Okay. So what essentially? So can I ask you a question? How does a computer know what to do? Say when you say open a file, right? So how does it know where to find that file?
Through
For
the
which
through
hardware
the
to ask?
no, through the native application it will know the operating system which native application it has to launch, and through that native application it will operate in that.
Right. So for example, if I want to open a say your browser, right? We use browser a lot. So if I want to open a browser, how does a browser know that I need to connect to the network, right? Local area network, ensure that the Wi-Fi is there, and
All these
then
are
display
handled
all
by
of
the
that.
OS, I guess.
Sorry.
All these are like done by operating system, which is like present on the like hardware and the user.
Yeah.
Like it is
So
a
what is the role of operating system?
so it make us like it provide us a interaction like user and a hardware, like whatever the hardware in our system have, we provide that interaction to use the resources of the present in that hardware.
So say for example, I have two browser windows open, one in which I am playing a video and another one I am, just open my email context, right? In both of the scenario, the network, through the network, there is some data coming in, right? And it is read differently by the different tabs, right? And so how you get to decide as to the user application, in this case, browser, is talking to the hardware. So the OS's job, right, the operating system's job is to ensure that the hardware resources which are available, say for example, you have RAM, you have processing capabilities, you have networking capabilities, right, on your system, how they will communicate with each other and set priorities based on what the requirement is. So that management work is done by the OS. The operating system sits on the top of your hardware, right? But the key component of the operating system is something called as kernel. So kernel is set of programs which are created in such a way that they are able to manage the resources for any of the request which is coming from the user application. Okay, so a browser is an user application. If you're using a media player, that is a user application. If you open a new app, that would be an user application. But which user application gets what kind of permissions to access what kind of data from a hardware is decided by the OS, and that is the role of kernel itself. Okay, so kernel is the set of basic programs which governs how the hardware will behave to different permission requests. Okay, and the above the kernel you have bash or any set of programs which sits on the kernel. So your user program may be using bash internally or C++ or any other programming language internally to communicate with your hardware. Okay, so those who have learned C, right? The C is the language which was evolved or created to create first Unix operating system. Okay, so in old days, people never used to have these big systems where the system resource sharing and everything used to get it automatically assigned. In old days, the system used to be very big and inefficient, so that they could run only one task at a time. Right? As the computers evolved from huge hardwares to very smart and smaller and efficient hardwares, what they found out that there was system lying around doing nothing. Meanwhile, it was processing some of the data. So they were thinking, how I can use that particular system efficiently, right? Meanwhile, that particular system is doing some other process, right, which is not eating actually your uh, actual resource, right? So that resource, can I handle it to give it to some other program, some other user? So the first set of systems which came to be in computer science were, like I said, only one task at a time. The next one was when they got little bit powerful. Now they had system which can be shared among users. So they became time shared basis, right? Time shared or resource shared basis. And this is also one of the governing principle of all of this cloud computing which you see, right? You are renting out resources from your cloud provider for that particular time. So they also need to manage your time, assess how much you are using, and meter it accordingly. Process payment accordingly. That used to be the key issues on those old days, where people really needed a system which can talk to multiple users, get those users different type of permissions and ensure that they are able to log in into the system and get their tasks done, right? So the system was used 24/7 efficiently. So for that purpose, the first need of operating system arose, and from there, the first set of tools, right, to decide as to what permission, what priority, what kind of resources allocation will be done, right? Say a program is asking you, you have say 4 GB laptop, right? And your program is asking you right away all 4 GB of your RAM space. So that program should not be allocated that kind of resource right away, because if a operating system allocates that kind of a resource, your system will just collapse, right? So there has to be a manager which will delegate with this particular program and see it is not consuming any more resources than what actually system has. So those program will simply not run, or they will not get installed, or they will just, those programs will crash, but the operating system will stay up and running. So that is the job of what kernel is. So kernel is just ensuring that the hardware resources are delegated to the program, different programs, right, appropriately. No one is no program is hogging all of the resources than what it has been assigned by default.
Sir, this kernel concept is there only in the Unix, or it also applicable for
Windows
Windows?
also has kernel system. So if you take a look at the history of the OS itself, right, you will start realizing the kernel is the basic function of any operating system. So that protects your hardware basically. It ensures that an unauthorized access is not provided to this to your OS. So, and all of this OS development has been done over the years, right? So you already have legacy code. Legacy code as in, somebody come up with a solution 20, 30, 40 years back, and we are still using that solution to build even other set of solutions on the top of that. So we are using the old code as is, right? So there are dedicated people who study those old codes and see if there are any issues with those code, and somehow people are able to access the hardware without authorization. So a large chunk of OS research goes in there to study the
So,
current code itself. Yeah.
So, sir, in my system, if I have Ubuntu, so I'll have one kernel and one bash shell. How is it?
Sorry, you have?
In my system, let's say I have a Ubuntu, and so I'll have one kernel and one bash to it. Is it this understanding right?
So any OS will have one kernel. Kernel has multiple what do you call it? There is a monolithic aspect of the kernel also, and there is something microkernels also. These are very different concepts. But in your laptop, it is usually a monolithic kernel. So you will have one single kernel onto which all of these applications are reaching out to.
Okay, so one
So
kernel and one bash layer on top of that, or there could be
yeah,
multiple
Bash
bash.
is not a layer. Bash is one of the program which can have direct access to the kernel. So say in Bash you're typing a program is requesting some access to the memory. It is possible through the kernel. So you have to talk to the hardware through the kernel itself. So Bash will have a different set of tools by which you can talk to kernel to get that access from the hardware. Okay, so those people who do system level programming, right, say embedded systems, embedded C or something, eventually they will be dealing with a lot of these tasks as they go along in their course. For data science point of view, you just have to understand the Bash, because say how many GB of space usually a Windows machine eats up when it gets installed by default.
Around 7 to 10 GB mostly.
Yeah, imagine that you are consuming 7 to 10 GB minimum of your OS when you are installing that OS on a server. Right, you are wasting resources, right? You may not be using all of the tools and user application which are given by the OS by default, which is why the Linux is preferably used in the uh, this cloud infrastructure, because all you need to do is install kernel over it, and then you can get to select which all application you want to choose to install along with it. So that way the operating system itself is very lightweight, right? So say a simple Linux version, right, can also accommodate on a very old system. It will run very fast. You don't need to use Windows at all. So say you have a laptop which is 15 years old. You are still running on Core 2 Duo processor. A Linux system will make that hardware run very fast by optimizing the resources which it already has, which is
So
not the
this,
case with the Windows system.
sir, this Kubernetes kind of container, it gets full-fledged this functioning with around 500 MB of base
Yes.
version.
So if you take what are Dockers and container essentially? The Dockers are essentially providing you a virtualization platform where you are just installing a kernel on a virtual hard drive hardware. Right? You are simulating that hardware for that particular kernel. So the Docker file, if you look at it, right, of Bash will be very, very minimal, 500 MB or even smaller than that. It is possible, which is why it is also predominantly used in a lot of system on device concept, which is present in ES. Okay, so you have to think it from their point of view as to what. So once you become a specialist in kernel and all of this thing, right, you will know exactly what resources you want to use for what type of hardware.
It is very essential to get into that level, that Docker and Kubernetes. If we are good in Unix, we can understand it better actually.
Yes, so Docker, you can create all those Docker compose file, this configuration file you can create and all that. But if you understand all of this little bit of tiny details, right, you can save a lot of money onto resources wise if you know how to work with them. Okay, so this is like a just preliminary step. Not everyone will get to understand all of these concepts in great detail, but this is the first step, the very essential step, because you will not have a graphical user interface, right, any of these remote machine, which is why you need to learn Bash. Bash will give you the minimalistic communication medium to the kernel, right? Bash is in a way allowing you directly to talk to kernel and get a lot of basic functions running without investing a lot onto GUI, because GUI is one of the component which will eat up a lot of system resources. It is very good for a personal machine, but it is a very bad if you have a what do you call it, uh, a system which is on the cloud, or a system which a company is managing on a large scale. It is inefficient, and it costs a lot of money just to keep it running. So in a lot of organizations and everywhere, you'll see that although your personal PC will have Windows on it, but at the end of the day, server will always be of Linux or Linux origin of some kind. So that is why you need to learn bash. So you should know, if I ask you to read a file, you should not take a look at, oh, where is the mouse pointer? I can't see it. Where is that, VS Code, which I really like, right? I can't see it on my server. So that shouldn't be the case. So Linux itself, this bash itself has enough tool, right? For example, this VI editor, Emacs editor to, see and do a lot of fanciful things just by using command line. Okay, so your job is to learn little bit about file system hierarchy, how the file system, because the way files are stored in the Linux are also very different than what your Windows system is. It's the way they are preserved and used, and all of that is also very different. So all of these things you will get to learn in great
Sir,
detail.
this two I clarified, kernel and bash. How the shell? The shell is one other component, or
Shell is one of the component of what?
no? Just asking. They say that shell programming, shell programming. Is it a different component rather than bash, or it is
So
some?
bash is one of the shell. Okay, so even among the shell, right, there are different versions of the shell. Bash is the one which you will find mostly in a lot of system. You want additional functionalities to this bash, you may go to say ZSH or fish shell or something like that. When you say shell programming, it may not be very specific to bash, but definitely whatever you do in bash you should be able to do it in other uh, versions of bash as well, I mean shell as well. Okay, so I think that should also be there in here. See, in here she mentions that the most popular shell in Linux is bash shell, right? It is default shell in most distributions, and it is also POSIX compliant. There are many other shells available such as ZSH, fish, dash, CSH, KSH,
Sir,
and
we are seeing
TSH.
the index page. But maybe your sharing is not updated.
You're seeing, okay, let me just take a look at it. I'll just stop sharing this. I'll share it again. That is why I was wondering, why you guys are not able to see the book. Let me just show that book one more time. Yeah. Yeah, is it visible now?
Yes, yes, it is visible now.
Yeah, so in here you will see that, the detailed description of what is a shell is given. Okay. And what is a POSIX, right? Why this came to be? It is a very interesting story. The portable operating system interface, right? So so the first OS which was allowing people to have multiple users, right, on a sharing basis was Unix, right? And the Unix started somewhere around in 1969 or 70s. Around the same time, before that, the same creators of the Unix operating system created C as well, right? So they use C to code the entire Unix operating system. Okay, so what eventually happened is that because it was first created by Bell Labs, right? AT&T Bell Labs, and by law they were mandated to distribute it freely, right? So you can give what do you call it, license to a lot of different people for this, but they cannot charge for that. So what people started doing around that time, right? The universities were the first one to adopt all of this, and they started developing their own version of Unix. Everyone. So to have a uniformity among all of the versions of the Unix or the way we communicate with this uh, computers, right? The POSIX, right? Portable Operating System Interface guidelines were established. So people came together and they created a guideline for how an operating system should be, system interface should be. Right? Some standards were set, and then they started this whole set of things. So you can see that in here we also mentioned that fish version of shell is not a POSIX compliant, right? The shell. So it has a lot of different features, right? Auto suggestion, syntax highlighting, tab completion, and all that will be there in the fish shell. But that is not a standard practice among all the different shells there is. So because Bash is POSIX compliant, it is usually is the default Bash which will be available in many of the OSs on the server, right? So this is where your knowledge of the Bash comes into the play. So once you know how to work with Bash and you know how to install stuff on the bash, right, with proper authorization. You can install shell which are little advanced and which will allow you to do all of this, auto completion and syntax highlighting and everything. So that is also covered in the book in detail. Right? So they have very interesting topics in here. Okay, so I hope you guys have time in this couple of weeks, right, to go through over this different things which we are talking about in the book, and we have given it in quite in detail so that this becomes a single point reference point for you, right? Why command line interface, like just like I said, right, where we start with why do we have to start with command line interface. So one of the reason is, of course, economical, makes sense, much more efficient in terms of space and speed as well, but you need to know all of those extra details which comes with it. Yeah, Aditya, what's your query?
So I just wanted to understand one thing. For example, I want to see how many USB devices are connected to my machine using the terminal. So I'll be using the ls USB command, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I'll be receiving a response from the USB driver of the machine, right?
You will be receiving a response from your kernel.
Okay, but the kernel will ask the USB driver to return
Yes,
whatever devices.
yes.
Okay, so is the workflow like USB driver, then kernel, then shell, and then the terminal?
Yes.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah. So because you are not directly allowed, so the whole context of kernel is present above any other program is to ensure that nobody can hack your system, and try to get that access from you. Say you have given a restricted access to that particular point, right? They should not be able to get an access to that particular resource. Yes, Siddharth?
Good afternoon. I just
Good
wanted to
afternoon.
understand how many weeks of content does this book cover? If let's say somebody is able to go through the entire book.
8, 9 and 10 are in process. Okay, so they will be added in a week or two.
But the first 8 weeks, like the all the content that will be part of the first 8 weeks, can we say that this book will cover all 8?
Yeah. All 8 weeks are covered. The ninth week, which is awk, I think, is yet to be integrated into this book, but it will get shortly integrated. And then the last part, which is very important, I think, Git will be integrated thereafter. So you can see that till said, which is I think week 8, is covered. Okay, so the ninth week is awk, and then we will have the last
Hello,
one.
sir.
Yeah.
Sir, why we'll learn Linux?
In what context you want to know?
I want to know that we are right now we are learning week 10. Okay. Then what will be the outcomes of we up to week 10 for the Linux OS?
So what you are not learning Linux OS itself. Okay, what you are learning essentially in the first week itself, right? We expect you to understand file navigation in the command line interface as to how to create file folders. You should know what all permissions are, how to modify those permissions, how to change owners, how to what do you call it? Move file, copy files, and all those basic aspects of it. You also need to know the file system hierarchy, which Linux usually works with, right? So that is what is expected. So like I said, if you are from a data science or you are from a student, in either of the scenario, you will be working with a remote machine sometime soon. In an actual job scenario, or even if you go into advanced studies, right, you will be needed to know bash in order to interface with the remote server. That is what we expect, that you should be able to connect to the remote server. You should be able to know where what file reside, how to lead, take a look at log. If you get an error, how to read those errors and understand what is going on with the system. Or you should be able to do little bit of data manipulation, right? Say for example, you have a huge log file, right? But you just need to know the instances where it has failed, some component has failed. Should be able to use some of the functionalities which are present in the bash to use to solve that particular problem. say you receive thousands of CSV files in a different way, right? And you want to do a quick fix onto it, you should be able to use codes or the languages like sed, awk, and grep to solve those particular problems. Say you have a particular pipeline, right? You get some CSV file and you need to process it in 3-4 different steps. You should know how piping and redirection works to get that particular thing done. So all of these things are towards assuming that eventually you will be working with some form uh, of a remote machine where you will be processing some sort of data eventually. So be it a programmer or be it a data science or be it electronic systems guy, these are the basic stuff everyone needs to know if you are into this business.
So
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
two scenarios just trying to add there. That in the big data scenario, it is heavily used, the Unix command. And when I'm working in a kind of services or web server architecture, quickly if I want to know before it goes to the any system, logging system, Kibana or anything, immediately we can connect to the Unix and just need to run the grep command to see what went wrong.
Yes. So those are the tools which we will be introducing in this particular course, and we expect you to learn them in this particular format right now. But as you go along and gain experience in different form, you will see where it actually fits in your daily routine. So not all of these things which we will be discussing in this particular course will be useful, but most of it will definitely be useful. So yeah, Siddharth.
Yeah. Once again, another question. I actually joined a bit late, but I saw in the recording, in the live recording in YouTube, that there was a Linux commands with Colab document that you were sharing. Will that be shared with us, like on supplementary content?
Yes. So let me just share that with you here. Tell me whether you guys have an access to it. I was just trying to publish it. Atul, are you there?
Yes.
Can you publish that doc so we can share it with the students?
One second.
So basically, I believe that there will be so many of the students who are doing it, the Linux, they are seeing it for the first time in their life, assuming that they have no idea what the Linux is or where to start. For those people, what we have thought of is, to prepare, and we presumed from our end, because you are at this level, you guys must have had an interaction with Colab or Jupyter Notebook in some kind or some form. So we created some set of content we wanted you to chew through before we enter the next week. So these are Google Colab notebooks which we have came up with. There are 5 in total, and each one of them will emphasize different things. So let me just share my screen. Meanwhile, he publishes that, and then we'll take a look at what I want you guys to do today. So it's a very, very basic book. The concept are not very difficult therein. So you take a look at it, right? So the unit 1, unit 0 is just for those people who don't even know what Colab is, right? For them, we have just given them little introduction about what a Colab is. So the first notebook is regarding that. The second one is basic Linux commands, right? Say if you go and click on this link, you will be directed to let me just check. Let me just open one of it and then share that screen with you. Okay. Let me just share this entire screen. And if you take a look at the week 0, everyone able to see it? Unit 1. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I hope you guys are able to see week 0, unit 1, basic Linux command. So just wanted to give you an heads up what a command is, right? What are flags, arguments, various type of expansions, and wildcard. So as you go along watching all of those videos, you have already practiced what was there in there, right? So take a look at this particular workbook and see if you're able to understand this workbooks and able to solve it. Okay, so what we will do once it is published, you guys should be able to. So what I want you to do, right? Just don't start working in the same notebook. Go into the file and create a copy of it for yourself. So save a copy in a drive or something you do, and then you start working in that particular version. See if you are able to solve and understand. So this is like self-paced, right? We are giving you all the examples. Say for example, in here we are saying how to find a help on CLI, right? So we are giving an use case of help flag which is present. So usually in any scenario you will have a command, then a space, and then a flag, and then a particular path onto which you want to work with, right? This is how a particular command line in structure would be. So there will be command which will take some standard inputs. There will be command which will not take any standard input. There will be command which will have flags. There could be some commands which will have very minimal number of flags, right? Ls is a command which has multiple flags. You can take a look at it. A help flag, right? When you want to raise a help flag, how you can do it. So just you can open up your terminal, do ls hyphen hyphen help, and it will give you an output of this kind, right? Where each one of these letter is a flag. So anything you type dash something, some letter, or dash dash some word, right? It is a flag, right? So when I do ls hyphen a, it says do not ignore entries starting with dot. Can anyone tell me what does it mean by entry starting with dot?
So the hidden files, basically
Hidden
the
file.
git
Correct.
bash files.
Correct. So by default, if you take a look at the Linux operating system, any file which starts with a dot is by default is a hidden file, right? You want to see all the hidden files, you do hyphen a, small a, right? But you also know that current working directory is represented by dot, and the parent directory is represented by double dot. So you don't want those to be printed, then you do capital A. So you need to learn how to read those help pages, right? Because in a lot of scenarios where you will be doing this analysis, right, you may end up needing you'll encounter a totally new command, and you need to know how to work with it.
For the exams, are we expected to memorize all these?
We expect you to practice all of it, but not memorize it. Because say if I give you an example, right, I will tell you list out all of the file content for me in so and so directory, right? And in the help context, I will provide ls is a command which can be used to get the list. Rest of the thing, once I tell you what command it is, you should be able to use man page to figure out how to perform that particular task. Okay, so basically you should know the commands which you can issue to get help on a particular command, or how to read the manual pages itself. So if you take a look at the man pages, so I think man pages is also covered in the week-1, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that is an absolutely important command. Okay, man and info command. I want you guys to take a look at different commands and take a look at its man pages, and if there are no man pages, take a look at its info pages. And if it is a shell built in, right, I think the command is different, right? What is the command you need to use if it is shell built in?
What is something like that?
No.
Type.
No. To get help, right? For shell built in. Take a look at the lectures, okay? Then come back and take a look at it, what you can do.
Okay. I think we use man with other Linux commands.
Sorry?
We use man with other shell commands to know more about those commands.
Man and space, then the name of the command.
Yes. So there is one way of doing it. Then info is also there. Then command hyphen hyphen help is also one of the way. So learn different ways you can access the help and read through those man pages to understand if I give you a particular task to complete, how will you do it. I don't know how many of you have known about image magic. Has anyone heard about that tab?
It does operations on image.
Yeah, but have you used it, image magic?
No, sir. Just heard about it.
Okay, so image magic has absurdly useful It's very useful tool. Okay, you can resize image. You can. So I just shared a link to that particular app. Okay, so if it is installed in Bash, right, inside your Linux operating system, you can do multiple things with image. You can rotate. You can do a lot of image processing which you do with your standard app. But now you're using just a terminal to issue all those commands. If I ask you, there's a way you can convert images from say JPEG to GIF, right? And I want to use image magic. Can you find out a way to do so? So I think there's some command called convert which you have to use. So you should know how to use the correct flags and depending upon what kind of operation you want to do. So all of the point which I'm trying to drive at is right. These this popular open source softwares provide you command line interface with a different set of flags, which enables to do automation on multiple files, folders, and images. So for that particular purpose, this is a very useful and powerful tool that you need to learn Bash. Right? You can literally automate a lot of different tasks by using Bash. Which can be mundane if you want to do it just once or twice, but they can be very, very powerful when you have to repeat the same process over a huge chunk of data. Okay, that will also help you greatly in that particular context. Okay. Yeah. So
Yes,
I heard you guys
uh,
had other questions also, right? On the content.
yeah, I have reached on the system command course. Can you check? Is it fine?
Okay.
Week 0, yeah.
Yeah. What about the ES course? Can you release it there as well?
So that I am configuring, yeah.
Yeah. So week 0 content we have already released on the. Just take a look at it.
It's there.
It's there, right?
Yes.
Take a look at each of it and ensure that you make a copy of all of this Google Colab. Okay, don't do it in the same one because otherwise it will just. So Puneet, they cannot edit in this particular.
No, sir. No, sir.
Right?
They can't.
They have to create a copy and they have to do it,
Yes,
right?
yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you show one instance? I'll just yeah. I have stopped sharing. Just share your screen and show how the copy thing works.
Okay, so just
First.
give me a minute.
Yeah. So this will be helpful for those who are looking at this video at their own time. Or even if you revisit this particular video, we'll have that resource ready for you. Any other conceptual question you have from week 1?
Sir, not conceptual, but generally how these sessions are programmed, sir? Like, we'll have to see the videos and come back and ask questions, or will you be?
No. So what we expect in the sessions, right? That you finish the previous week's videos from Prof, right? So one session which is on Monday, right, is largely related to revising the concept from the previous week, and the Saturday session is targeted towards the solving aspect. So we will be solving questions on the VM. Okay,
solving,
so because
our activity questions, practice questions, something like that, sir.
Not practice questions and activity questions. Of course, you can do that as well. But what we insist upon is, getting onto the VM and solving weekly practice questions are prepared there separately. So we can solve those questions on the VM. So once we start with the VM from Monday onwards, right, you will get to see those by next Saturday. Okay. All of this. So next Saturday sessions will be longer than what it is for today comparatively. So we will be spending substantial amount of time into learning how to take a look at the question, how to the correct methodology by which you should approach a solution, and then how to submit a solution. So all of that we will discuss in great detail in the upcoming week. So this week I really want you to go through all of this content, right, which you have on the course portal and this Google Colab notebooks which we have created. You guys have any queries and questions, post it on the Discord so that your peers can also be able to see those questions and maybe answer them. If they are not able to answer those questions, you can tag any of us, instructors or the TA, and they will get you the question resolved. Yeah, Puneet.
Sir,
Just hand it
week
over to
0
you.
is not in the desktop.
Yeah, week 0 content.
0 content is not released at.
Yeah, we just released that content week 0. Okay, just take a look at this Google Colab and then we'll get back to it. Okay. Yeah, Puneet, just please go ahead and show.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So, guys, so basically, this is a collab notebook that we have created to understand the basics of Linux commands, and whatever you have studied in week 1 has been more or less covered and explained in simple words and with few examples what actually that means. So, what you have to do, you have to just you can like save a copy in Drive. So once you do that, it will create a copy. You see, it is saying that it is creating a copy. So yeah, when the notebook copy is complete, you can open it in the new tab and it will have the name of copy of system command week 0 unit 1. So we'll look at, yes. So it has come now. I just connect it to the runtime once. So you have to remember just one thing. There is one catch that uh, initially the Google Colab was mainly meant for Python. So, but it can work in several languages. At least I've tried for C and Bash environment. So it's just that what you have to remember for every cell. Like let's say I want to practice the same thing that is here right now. Okay. So you just have to write percentage bash. Now this is now your almost like a virtual environment. There are some commands that doesn't work here, so that we have already like told in the like notes that which command is working or not working. So those commands you can directly practice on your virtual environment until the time you have not like some of you guys are not like beginners. It is not, you are just the beginning stage at system command. So for that, you can directly use this. So let's say I want to list all the files. So just run this file. Okay, so there is only one. So what I can do, I'll just create 2 3 files here. Okay, just created 2 3 files. Now I'll say ls minus l. Okay. So now you can, in this file place, you can create, you can edit your things and you can learn whatever this has been explained. So ls minus help, that sir was just referring to. Man command does not work, but I've given you the like what is the like it will look like in the virtual environment. So this how it will look like, and it goes on. So you can practice. There are some practice modules. Then there are some spaces also left where you can practice. So this is it is all about. Sir.
Okay, so this is the first time we are running it. So we also request you to give us feedback on this course. And if you have any issues and questions, right, just tag Puneet or any of the instructors, and we'll get back to solving that issue. Yeah, Dhanvantari.
Sir, how to get this Google Colab document from where?
Atul, are you there?
Yes, Cecilia.
Yeah. Can you share it from a student's point of view, the screen, and show where it is located?
Just give me a minute.
Yeah, Siddharth, what's your query?
Sir, I have two queries. Number one is, will we be able to complete all the live sessions for the first 2 weeks before 6th of October, considering that the deadline is for all the graded assignments is 6th of October? That's number one question. Second is, what would be your suggestion for us to prepare for or study this subject throughout the duration of the course? So as in, we have the recorded lectures, then we have these live sessions, then we have Google Colab, as well as the book that you showed. What would you say, how should we actually go on preparing, like what should be our mandatory thing that we should definitely go through these things before going before taking something else?
Yeah. So if you had watched the video lectures already, right? You'll see they are exploratory in nature, right?
Right.
Yeah. The professor intend to show you different aspects of what Bash environment is, how it works and all that. But we never go in a very structured manner, right? Where we tell you, okay, this is how it can be compartmentalized or properly ordered. So what I want you to do, you take a look at the video lecture, then take a look at your book. okay, from the same week.
Okay.
See some comparison. So the first, if you had taken a bird's eye view for the week 1, right, we'll see it is mostly about knowing commands, right? It is about understanding file system hierarchy and using basic commands to list files,
Right.
folders, and all that, right? The emphasis is on that. So you should be able to navigate the file system by using the terminal, right? That is one of the aim. The second aim of the first week is for you to understand how the files are stored on the system, right? So when you create links, right, be it soft link or a hard link, or when you talk about inode, what it is what you need to understand conceptually very well, because that will be an essence which you will be needed in your actual day-to-day life issues, because you may encounter that you have a lot of space left on your uh, server, but the server is saying that there is no more space left.
Right.
So usually it is always tied back to the inodes concept. So if you don't understand the inode concept, that will bound to happen. You may be creating multiple copies of the same thing. So instead of that, you can just rely on the hard link, right? There is a reason for that, right? So if it is hard link which you're storing, you can essentially have address to the same set of data files, right? But it will save a lot of space for you. If you're doing logical links, right? So what, or the soft links, right? How they are different than that? The permissions which underline to all of these files and folder, that is the aim of the week 1. So we would like you to focus into learning this new set of system or the command line interface itself, get acquainted to that. That is the aim of the first week. So if you take a look at the bird's eye view of the course, you should only focus on learning those aspects by using lectures, be it your book. So my first view always will be lectures, because it will give me a brief idea as to what I am expecting in this particular week.
Right.
Once I understand that what is the theme of this particular week, I will know what areas I need to target when I take a look at the book, because that will give me point by point the detailed kind of a syllabus for that particular week, right? And on there you can see what you are comfortable with, what you are not comfortable with. So that way you can study those aspects. So that is how I would suggest. And the sessions is what I really want you to use. Be it sessions or the discourses where you really are struggling to understand a concept, or you would like to know a little bit more about it, you come and discuss it during the sessions. The other important aspect of the session, which is not in the lectures or in the book, is working with VM, right? So I expect you to at least attend one of the sessions. So Saturday sessions is much more fruitful, because there you will be solving with the instructor. On the Monday session, it is mostly revising all of the concepts. So if you have more conceptual doubts, you can be on the Monday session. And if you want to actually solve the questions, or you have your own questions and you would like to practice it, you can always come and do the Saturday session. The same theme you can also use in the TA session. Say you are in the middle of the work, and now you have some issue and you're not able to solve the particular question, or you don't understand how this particular thing works. You can always come in the evening to the TA sessions. Okay, if suppose TA session and instructor sessions are not available, post it on the discourse, because you will get more quicker response comparatively from your peers as well as from the students, if it is conceptual in nature. If it is operational in nature, we request you to raise it in any of the instructor meet, or you can raise it to our email address, or raise it on a discourse by tagging an instructor, right? That way we can take care of any of the operational issues you are facing. So this
Understood.
is regarding your course.
And so regarding the first query, which is whether
The first query is whether you will be able to do it before that. I
Right.
think the way we see this course, right, say if you have PPA and GRPA, it is not traditionally like any other course, right? We don't discuss PPA and we don't discuss GRPAs in live sessions. We discuss entirely different questions which are on the VM. Okay, so
No,
if you
I
have
meant
doubts in PPA and GRPA, you
no.
can
What I
discuss
meant
it in the
was
session.
whether we'll be able to finish live sessions for the first 2 weeks, because the deadline for those, the graded assignments and everything is 6th of October. So if I'm not mistaken, usually what happens is we cover the week. If let's say we have a deadline for a certain, let's say first week, right? So all the live sessions will be completed before the deadline. So
Correct.
that is what I meant, because
Yeah,
6th
yeah.
of
So live session in this particular week, right? In the first week itself, say the
Hmm.
Monday session, right? The Monday session was not there because the students has not gone through this the whole content, right? So for me to summarize something or for me to get a question from the students as well, I need to have the students to go through the content first, right? So the week one's usual session will be only one, and then Monday you will have the session for the week one revision. Week one revision and week two if you have any issues. And week two will be running almost every single day to ensure to get you on the VM. So during that time, if you have any of the issues or any of the questions, you can always come and ask us there. That is not an issue. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So by Saturday again, we will have a longer session to just to summarize everything and get started on the the solution part. Right? We'll start looking at the questions on the VM. So first 3 to 4 weeks are very, very important in this course. If you go through that, I think rest of the things will be easier for you. Yeah, Uma, please go ahead.
Sir, where can we access this collab note?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
No, where will it be available, sir?
Yeah. He's showing it. It's on the course.
Yeah, it is available on the course page.
Course
So
page.
now we have released this week 0.
Week 0.
You can see.
Okay.
So inside the week 0, you can see this link, and now you can see find all the links.
Okay.
Links
Okay,
to
sir.
collab. Okay.
To practice.
You can take a look at all of them.
Yeah, both course.
Okay. This so this is why also if you take a look at the Amrita.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm using Linux, sir, so I can also use the virtual machine, sir.
Yeah, your voice is not very clear.
Sorry, sir. I'm already using Linux, sir. So now, one second, sir. I have to use the virtual machine also, sir.
You have to use what?
I'm already using Linux. For the concepts I want to learn, I need to learn the virtual machine also, sir.
Yeah. You have to log in into the virtual machine because that's where all the practice with all with instructor session will be conducted, and it is also a place where your OPP will be conducted. So if you don't log in into the VM, you will not know how to see the question and how to solve it. Okay. So VM is mandatory. Okay. So that was a question that I have already Linux installed on my system. Do I need to log on to the VM? So absolutely, you have to log on to the VM because that is an essential part of the course, and that is the way, that is the place where we are assessing OPPs as well. So if you are not, if you haven't done any of those problems and solution on the VM, you will not be able to do even a single question on OPP. You will be just sitting ducks. So just ensure that you log in into the VM and start doing the assignments there. Okay, so that is the whole theme of the next week.
Okay, so VM we will be working, so like how to install the VM. All those.
Sorry.
How to install VM will be the learning next week, sir.
Yes. Not how to install VM, how to log in into the VM from your own machine.
So VM will be already available.
It is already available. You just need to connect it using your terminal. Okay, your own PowerShell or terminal. So that we will be covering whole week next week. Okay.
Oh, whole week in the sense, apart from these regular sessions also, sir.
The regular session also we will have extra sessions to ensure that everyone is onboarded.
So that will be uploaded in our calendar, sir.
Yes, that will be notified in your calendar as well as it will be sent out as an announcement.
Okay, very good, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other queries you guys have? Any course related queries, conceptual queries? Everyone understood what is an inode? Can anyone tell me, or just raise their hand and
it is a unique identification for a file or correct.
So, but why inode? What exactly it is? What relation does it have to file? Yeah, Hemant.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir,
Good
inode represents the location, hardware location, sir. Location of the memory location, sir. I don't know.
Okay. So how does it relate to the location on the hard drive?
Locations. What's the please question, sir? Once again.
What is an inode? What significance does it have in Linux? Is it only related to Linux, or is it also in other operating systems?
I don't know other operating system, but I know represents address of a particular location, sir.
Yeah. So, like what Hemant has said, right? Inode is essentially it's like an address onto a hard drive where to find what. Okay. So if you take a look at the file command or stat command, which command will give you information regarding inode?
Minus A, sir.
Less minus A.
I think.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, so everyone able to see terminal? Okay, so this is my terminal. If I do pwd, it will tell me my current working directory, right? That is /home and /sushil. So I have two questions. Okay, one is regarding inode, and another one is regarding file system hierarchy. Can anyone explain me what is a file system hierarchy?
So file system hierarchy is basically the how the files are placed in the operating system. Like the topmost hierarchical folder is the root folder, and it contains subsequent levels of hierarchy, and then those folders contain subsequent levels of the hierarchy.
Right. So basically, it is one of the way we are storing data, right? So basically, this is little different than what you have seen in the Windows operating system, right? In Windows operating system, you have C drive, A drive, D drive, any number of drives you have, and then a drive later followed by a backward slash, and then the path will come, right? Which is not the case in case of Linux operating system. So everything resides under root. Root is represented by a forward slash, just like so. Okay, and all the directories lie beneath this particular root directory. I think that is what in the lecture one was all about. And in C, right, I think everywhere except the Windows and the program files, right, you can create files, folders, and copy paste everything, right? That is not the case with the Linux operating system. Because this operating system was designed for multiple users, right? Multiple users using parallelly. It has a more strict and rigid nature in its system, right? So under the root folder, you have bin, boot, dev, etc, home, init, and all of these folders, right? And each folder has its own purpose. Okay. So for example, for a student to have an account, it will always lie in home folder, right? In a home folder under your username, you will have permission to create file folders and do set of operations, but not anywhere else. Unless and until you are not a super user or a root user or admin user, right? You will not be able to create file folders elsewhere on uh, the root, right? So this is a root, and next to root is your bin. So if I do ls/bin, so I am saying after root there is a bin folder, and in bin folder, if you want to have any other folder, then you will put a forward slash and you will put that information therein, right? So if I do ls-l and then /bin, it will give me information as to what that bin folder is. And I want everything which is inside the bin folder. So all of these files and folders are present inside the bin folder. If you take a look at the permission strings, right, the first one depicts the type of the file, right? So how many type of files you have in Linux operating system? You have a regular file which is denoted by a dash. Then a character file you have L, which represents the uh, soft link, right? And the soft link, when you do ls-l, it is usually represented in this particular format. So to identify if a particular line has a soft link or not, I can always use L or this particular format to identify whether it is a soft link or not. And if you take a look at the permissions of the soft link, you will see that all the permissions are given to the soft link, right? So read, write, execute, and all of that, and you cannot change the permission. Try changing the permission of a soft link and tell me whether you are able to do it or not. In the same way, if I take a look at the other files, say if I go and ls/dev, and if I do right, and so in devices folder, right, so dev is kind of a short form for devices, and in devices folder, so one thing you have to understand, everything on a Linux is a file. Okay, so as in, even if it is a process, it is represented as a file. Even if it is a storage unit, right, it is represented as a file. So if you see this /dev folder, right, you'll see you have directories which you can identify using the first letter D. You have a character file which you can identify using C, right, and you have file starting with B, which is a block file. So these block files are usually your hard drives. Okay, and a character file is a file by which it is trying to communicate with the block or the processes. As you can see that your usual way of looking at the size will also may not be the same in this particular folders, right? You can see you have some logical, or what do you call it, soft links present. Yeah, Aishwarya. Aishwarya, Tanvantri.
Sir,
Hmm.
these character and block files, those are means it will be put under in the dev folder only, or
So it will be largely on under the devices folder. If you take a look at it, ls slash ls etc, right? So each folder has its own purpose, like I said, right? If you
yeah.
go and take a look at this LA, you'll see that this does not have many character file or block file what we have seen in the dev. But what this usually contains is all the config files. So you see .conf, right? So these are different programs you have, right? So for example, Emacs is a application, right? fstab is an application. So these are the config. So bash is an application, right? So all of these are the configuration file for your apps or different software packages which you have installed. So say you want to change some of the configurations for a particular package file, right? In Windows, you will usually go under the program files, right? C program files and then the package name. It is not the same in here. So you have to, if you are looking for the configuration file, you have to go in /etc folder to find all the configuration of that particular. So this is a little different than what your usual
Okay, Windows.
Windows operating system. So say that is your etc. So you have MNT folder. So if you want to mount a particular hard drive, so I'm using WSL on Windows operating system. So if I do ls-la/MNT, you will see that I have CDE drive present. Okay, these are the physical drives from the Windows operating system which I am using, right? So if I do ls-la/c, it will show me all the C drive files. So you can see that you have documents and setting program files and whatnot.
But
Which is present in.
how you can do that? Means those are the Windows means
Yeah, these are
files.
Windows file, but in because I am running something called Windows Subsystem for Linux. Okay, WSL. So WSL allows me to run a virtual environment of Ubuntu on the top of Windows operating system. Okay, so the Windows operating system is providing me the virtualization necessary to run this particular program. But this also allows me to, by default, mount whatever drives which are present on the Windows operating system on the Linux drive. So this way you can directly take a look at the content of each of the drives. Okay, as CD, E drive, and I can take a look at each of their content from here itself.
Sir, what we need to do to get this in WSL?
Nothing. You just go in WSL and these drives will be present under MNT. MNT is for mounting. So either you can mount those drives by using a command, or you can just in this particular instance, the Ubuntu is automatically mounting all of these drives for me. Okay.
No, the reason
So,
I have Windows 10, on top of that I have taken WSL, but I don't get this Ubuntu stuff what you are showing.
so you got Ubuntu, which version you have installed?
I'll just check one moment. I'll just check, but you can continue. I'll just check.
Yeah. Take a look at it because this is the WSL Windows, and in my particular, I'm using a terminal app onto which I have loaded the WSL Ubuntu directly. So I'm not going to the PowerShell and typing WSL. Okay, this is different. If you type WSL here, this is a different instance of WSL. In this WSL also, you can see that the by default the path is in the MNT folder, MNTC user, and this my user name.
So I actually directly open the WSL from the start menu, and it gives me
Yeah, instead of that, just use your PowerShell, or there is something called terminal app. Download that, and then you install Ubuntu instead of WSL. But even in WSL, you should be able to get it. So is it WSL 2 or WSL 1 which you have?
yeah, I think I see something like welcome to Ubuntu 20 point something. I did take a Visual Studio. That time it asked to install something.
Because for me, WSL 2 also, it is showing me the drives present there without any issue.
So when I open this WSL, I see that Ubuntu 20.4 something it is telling. Something unknowingly maybe during the time of VS Code I have installed. It asked something and I accepted it. It got changed. It will not sure.
So in any case, whatever your external drive is, right? Say pen drive and all that. So if you're using very rudimentary Linux and you want to plug in your USB and it should be plug and play, usually it will not happen. If you want to mount a particular drive, usually it is mounted under /MNT folder.
Yeah, it is showing /MNT /C Windows System 32 like that, and then it is giving the dollar.
Yes. So that is that. So where was it? Yeah.
One doubt, sir. This WS, many of the commands are not available. Do we need to separately install everything? For example, the tree command, I'm not able to.
Tree command, if it is not present in your WSL, you can just simply install it by using sudo.
Yeah.
Sudo apt-get.
Then it is saying unable to locate the package. Do I need to download the package first and save it?
No. If you have your WSL has access to that particular internet, right? It should get it done automatically. You don't need to install it separately. Okay. So
can you repeat this? Once I open to the PowerShell, what is that I need to do that to get that?
Just type WSL.
Okay, there. Okay.
Okay. So can anyone tell me what is this bin folder is for?
It stores executables.
Right. All of the commands, like for example, ls, if I want to see, I can just do cd bin, and you can see if ls is there or not. You can see that ls command is present. Okay. So does history command covered in the lecture? Hello.
Yes.
All right. Okay, I think it will be covered, or it must have already covered. But I'll just show you a quick use case of history command. So you can type history to see what all commands you have run previously, right? And say you have run a pretty big command and you want to repeat it, right? So for example, this ls, I want to repeat it again. So all I need to do is, exclamation mark 2014, right? That is the number, right? Line number. And when I do that, that exact same command will get run. So this is how history command can be used. And history command is one of the command which will not take an input, right? You saw if I do history, then I can help. Will give you the help context of that particular command. And it will tell you how to use it. The flags it will have is clear, delete, append, read all history, read a history file from a particular file, or write to a current history file, something like that of that sort. But it usually doesn't take much of the input. It can just run.
So this history is only
without any.
One session, or it's throughout all the sessions? Everything is recorded.
You get to set, so it is shown, right? Else bash history. You can go to this particular file and for now I can store 5,000 I think previous commands. So you can set how many previous commands you want to be stored in there. It depends on how you use it. The other thing, if say this also put, I'm not very sure, but this is also covered, right? If I put dash, it will go to the previous PWD, right? I mean,
It's
the last working directory which I was using. And if I just simply do cd, it will go take me to the home folder. I can also do cd and this to go to this home folder again. So tilde is by default a home folder, and dash is by default the previous working directory. Okay. So this is how some of the shortcuts are there. Yeah. So again, going back to the same concept. So the idea of the file system hierarchy is that each of the folder has its own purpose, and it is to be used in the same way, right? So if you want to create file folders, everything should lie in your home folder, and everything will be there. The configuration file, the binary file will be stored in a separate location. If you want to mount a hardware, it will be in a separate location. If you want to take a look at the devices, it will be under a dev folder, right? If you want to take a look at logs, which folder it will be?
var.
Under bin.
Yes,
var.
slash var, right?
Sorry, where?
So var log will have all the log files. So say your software or whatever program you are running is crashing over and over again. You can take a look at the log file which are stored in the under the var file, right? So that is the purpose of that particular folder. So each folder has its own purpose, and it is meant to be used in that particular way. Okay, it is very restricted in that sense. So you have full freedom to do whatever you want to do in the home folder, but everywhere else, all the other folders have its own purpose. What about this user, USR? Okay.
That is the users, no, sir. We are all the users. Who are all the users are
No,
there?
the user folder, right? User folder will have the binaries or the libraries file stored in it, which your programs are using. Okay. Different programs will be using. So you might have.
Sir, in the lecture.
What about OPT?
Sir, one question. So in the lecture, there's a shareable and non-shareable. How do we know that which folder in this are shareable and which is non-shareable?
Shareable? Is
Yeah.
that the correct term?
Yes, I need to check the video again.
Because shareable is not, it doesn't make any sense. But the
Maybe he's
folder
saying linked.
Huh?
Maybe he's saying whether the folder is a symbolic link or something.
No, no, no.
Yes,
What?
it's the symbolic or how do you put that? Called in the shareable with the context of concept pages.
Not able to hear you clearly. But in any case, so what I wanted to highlight was each folder has its own purpose, and it is to be used in that particular sense. The other thing which I wanted to drive at was inode number. So if I do ls hyphen li, right, and then if I do a slash, it will give me the inode numbers, right? So the first column now in here are showing me the inode numbers of each of these folders, right? And the inode numbers are, the way this usually works is that in Linux, when you create or install the Linux system for the first time, so when we create this OS for the first time, right, install the OS for the first time, the way the file system management it will install, right, the formatting, the file formatting itself, it will generate some set of inode numbers in the beginning itself. And by design, each of the inode should be associated with one of the file. Like each file will have unique inode number. So it's like, it's the identification, unique identification number for that particular file. The same inode number cannot be shared by any other file if it is not, it is only true when it is a hard link. Otherwise, you cannot have the same inode number. So you have only, set number of inode numbers once you start with the new operating system after the format. So if you exceed and use all of the inodes, all the inode numbers, right? So this is possible when you have so many small files. So even if your file is 1 KB long, and by default a single inode number is taking up 8 KB of space, that full 8 KB will be used by that 1 KB file. That will keep on happening. So one of the way to preserve that is, people will zip these files, or create rars of this file to save on the space. Hello, sorry about that. Yeah. So where was I? Hello, am I audible?
Zip. You are telling about
Yeah,
zipping the files,
yeah.
where files.
So zipping and all that will, ensure that uh, the way it works is ensures that the final rar file has only one inode number under which all of that structure is saved. Okay, but usually the inode numbers are very important concept from that point of view. So that is why in the first week the concept of hard link and soft link is equally important. So when you need to understand when you need to use hard links and when you need to use soft links, and the concept of inode number. So in a disk, right, it is fragmented into the minimum amount of size blocks, right? So each of these blocks are assigned to these files, right? So each block is in your inode on a block device.
Sir, I have a doubt regarding the alias command.
Yeah, what's your doubt?
So whenever I create an alias for something and I close the instance of the WSL, uh, whenever I log in for the next time, it automatically gets deleted. The alias I have
Yes.
created.
So your alias is actually only for that particular batch session. The moment you get out of that batch session, that alias is not stored. If you want to store that alias, right, and you want to
I will
use
have
it
to use a
again and
flag.
again, no, you have to put it in the bash rc file. So if you take a look at your home folder, right, there is a hidden file called .bash rc. So if you put
Okay.
that definition into .bash rc file, whatever alias you want to store, you put
Okay,
it there, and that will become an alias. I mean, you should be able to use that alias over and over again,
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
even if you close. So the .bash rc file is like an profile file. So every time you load the bash, it will get loaded. It will
Okay.
load all of the commands from that particular file.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. I see the file. Do the thing.
Sir, are you on mute?
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, so in the first week, this is important, right? Knowing what inodes are, what are how you can navigate between in the Linux file system, right? What is a relative path? What is an absolute path? You need to know. So these are the very important concepts you need to learn in the week 1 itself. So can anyone tell me the difference between a relative path and an absolute path?
The absolute path contains the whole path, and the relative path gives is the path with respect to the our present working directory.
Yeah. So for example, if I go and get into say this test1 folder, right? And if I do here, right, I see a lot of folders here. So a relative path. So if I go into say ADA folder, so a relative path to say AAA folder, right? Can you tell me what will be that?
Triple A.
So I am in ADA folder right now, right? So relative path will be
CD space
Over
double
dot
dot
dot slash AAA.
right. Okay, sorry. Right. This is my relative path, right, to that particular directory. So if I go into and press enter, I'll get into that directory, right? But what if I want to use an absolute path to again change back to say ADA? Can anyone tell me where I can get that absolute path?
CD hyphen.
Hmm. Hyphen. No, I'm not asking about the shortcut. I want to know the absolute path.
CD/test1 slash ADA.
Is this correct?
No, it will be slash home
In the
slash
end.
Hmm.
the what is the username? Yes.
And then test and then ADA, because your absolute path always starts with a root folder. From the perspective of the root folder where the file is located, right? When I do that, now you can see that I have moved to ADA folder, right? So this is the very important difference whenever you are using relative path and absolute path. So whenever you create a hard link, right, or a soft link, take a look at it whether you need a absolute path or a relative path. Try see whether your soft link or a hard link works with absolute or relative path. I think that is one takeaway question I want you to take from this. Anything else which so man pages we already looked at, right? Man ls, if I take a look at it, there's a whole host of page. If you want to search for a specific word, you just need to put a forward slash and say I want to put at a list. So I typed list and then you see that list word is highlighted here, right? So if I want to go to the next one, I press N key and it will show me the next highlighted word in the list. So this way you can navigate and search for a particular pattern in the man page, right? So you need not scroll. So whenever you do scrolling, open a man page, right? You need not scroll endlessly to search for a particular context you are searching for. You can simply do forward slash and if test word is there, it is not there. So we can see it reverse is present here, right? So you can see that a part of the word, even if I search for it, it will show it. And if I want to do N, press N, it will go to the next one. And if I do capital N, it will go to the previous one. Okay. This is the way you can use a man page. There's also info page. See, info is available on LS or not. So the difference between info page and man page is that the man pages were written when Unix came to be around 1970s and 80s. That was the time when people used to have actual books into which this manuals used to be stored. Later down the line, somebody just transferred all of those into the uh, in the Linux as a man command itself. So they may not be very intuitive, but info pages, contrary to that, are more intuitive in nature. that it allows you to have this hyperlinks, right? So this is a hyperlink text. So if I press a space bar there, it will expand onto that and show me what is there inside that particular place. So you also need to know, how to use info pages and man page appropriately for a set of commands. Okay, so these are the few important things you need to take away from the week 1 lecture. Okay. On Monday, we will revise everything which we have learned so far, and we will also try to revise there is in the week 2, and we will also start, taking you on the VM from the get-go. Okay. You guys have any other questions for me? Just stop presenting for now. Any questions?
Sir, I'm very new to Linux. So what is you were mentioning about soft link, hard link? I think the normal link.
No, hard links will have the same inode number. Okay. But the soft link is like a shortcut which we have in the Linux of in Windows, right? So a soft link is just a file which will preserve the place where the actual file is located. So that's all there is in the soft link file. So if you take a look at the size information also, right? So an actual hard link file will have the same size and same inode number as the original one, but a soft link file will be much shorter in size, and it will have information only about where you can find the original file. Okay, which is why the information of relative path and absolute path while creating soft link and hard link plays a key role. So when you try doing that, right, you will learn, in which scenario you should always use absolute path and not a relative path.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other queries you guys have for me? Okay. If not, then I'll stop the session for today.
So one question: are there any mentoring sessions for this? Like
yeah, mentorship sessions are there. Okay.
Okay. So is that already announced? How do we?
I think mentorship sessions are already announced, and the payment has already been taken towards that. I think it is better if you get in touch with the support team to know more about that.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Sure. So,
okay. Any other queries you guys have? Okay. If not, then I'll just stop the streaming. Thank you for being here and patiently staying through the session. Okay. Let's talk again. Let's meet again in the next week and get you started on the VM. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you.